My dear friends, we are still living in the background of this COVID-19 virus, which is a global pandemic. And when we look around the world, what we see today is a lot of darkness, a lot of uncertainty, and many people are undergoing anxiety, worries, and depression. And there is, when we look at the future, there is uncertainty at all levels. So today I would like to deal with you something about the lessons we must learn from COVID-19. As human beings, we have a responsibility to look at, create critically and creatively and see what this coronavirus pandemic is telling us and teaching us. We are living beyond the planet's boundaries. If there is one lesson that is staring us in the face of it, is the fact that human beings live well beyond natural boundaries. Climate protagonists, the ecologists, people who love the environment, scientists, thinkers, people like Pope Francis, the spiritual people, have been screaming about this for some time, but we have largely ignored their warning. There was a warning about the global warming. There were warnings against the unmindful ecological exploitation from people, the corporates, the powerful countries, etc. We ignored them. Perhaps this pandemic is a nature's reaction. But at the same time, when we look at it, there are a lot of lessons we can learn. Number one, the rapid return of clear blue skies, breathtakingly fresh air, and clean water in moribund rivers, the chirping of birds, sighting wild animals in urban areas, arrival of dolphins in coastal regions, we have seen it, and even rapid healing of the ozone layer re-establish that we are messing nature up very badly the way we live. If we continue our high polluting way, post COVID-19 crisis, we may have dodged a bullet, but we will continue to imbibe slow poison. Communities are actually connected now. We know the COVID-19 has shown us that we are truly connected. People have helped the virus to travel around the world, starting from China, reaching to Europe, and even in the American continents, Latin America, in Middle East, and in Asia. Everywhere it is spread. And people have reached out to connect with others using technology, the absence of which could have led to a simultaneous breakout of mental illness of pandemic proportions. So, communities have come together. Now, it also tells us that society has a heart. Humanness is not completely lost. The shutdown has once again shows us that society has a heart. We have seen individuals rise to the occasion and help elders to take care of their daily needs. We have seen in India, we have seen the migrant workers, thousands of them walking, and we also saw thousands of people coming out to help them. We also saw, as a society, we rarely express gratitude in public services, and actually many of people are rendering to us. There is no social ritual of acknowledge the work of those who save us. For example, the health workers, the police, the doctors, plenty of volunteers who are completely sacrificing their time and energy, their the enjoyment and pleasures for the sake of others. In fact, Corona has brought us a global solidarity, a sense of concern for humanity. What we were thinking earlier was that science have the answer for all our questions, all our problems. And we also thought wealth will give us solutions. We thought religion will be the ultimate answer to our concerns. Therefore, people went into more of ritualism, like the Pharisaic period. COVID-19 also brought us that return to the nature is so important. People thought humans are the crowns of creation, so exploitation was done, ecological crises were created. Perhaps nature's protest is this pandemic. We religious must pause and reflect where we are heading to. Who are these? It also reminds us, this pandemic is also reminds us of it is a call for all of us to have a simplicity of life. So far, so much of a consumerist culture. People wanted to hoard things, to collect things, to make life easier. Consumerism and spirituality cannot go together. That's a big lesson for us. The more you renounce, the more you enjoy. The more you become simple, the more spiritual you become. And another important aspect of the coronavirus is telling us is the value of family. For us religious, the community. Family and community is is a place of worship for us. There is a sacredness of relationship. There is a sacredness of family and community that came very alive. There is another aspect which we need to think today. We must move from our religiosity, our restrictions, our rules and regulations and ritualism to spirituality. Spirituality and religion can be hard to tell apart, but what are some pretty defined differences between the two? Religion is a specific set of organized beliefs and practices, usually shared by a community or a group. That's the definition about a religion. And the definition about spirituality is this: spirituality is more of an individual practice and has to do with having a sense of peace and purpose. Many of us have explored spirituality in our own ways. People get attracted to spirituality and embark to their spiritual journeys for different reasons. Generically, there are few main reasons for this. Number one, the scholars say, curiosity about the spiritual dimension. This includes seeking answers to the more profound questions in life, such as, what's the purpose of life? In fact, spirituality is closely connected to philosophy. And it says, what's the purpose of life? Where did I come from? And where do we get after death? It is like a candle. If you flame it, that flame will remain. And when you put off the flame, where does the flame go? So question of that sort we arise about our own life. When facing a problem in life, insurmountable problems are part of our life, human life. And religion asks us to find answers to these where modern science fails. This includes so many things about life and death. It's also a spiritual healing happens. The ability to heal by channelizing subtle energies is an art that has been pursued for millennia. And it also personality improvement happens. If religion without spirituality, if religion exists without spirituality, as see all around us today, it causes terrorism, prejudices, extreme bigotry, and racism. Extremism is part of the religion which does not have a spiritual aspect. People mobilize. In fact, that such kind of a religion is called a communal religion. And spirituality cannot exist without religion. It is like if you decide to travel to another city without taking any known road, is called spirituality without religion. That means there is no end to it. We do not know where our destiny is and how to reach there. So there is a complementary aspect of the relationship between religion and spirituality. Now when we have the spirituality with us, we put up a smiling face. Face will be glowing. We cannot be sad. There will be a joy that is radiating in your face. Face is actually, what is face? Face is a mirror of your heart. And it also, if the spirituality is strong in you, it gives you a self-esteem. It strengthens your self-esteem. And it also, if you have anxiety, worries and depression, it soothes your anxiety, worries and depression if you really enter into spiritual depth. And it also protects against depressive symptoms. Many a times spirituality, it acts like a medicine. If you are truly spiritual, many of the things will go, because spirituality essentially includes forgiveness of oneself, forgiveness of others, and forgiveness and building up a relationship with God. And the problems of spirituality today is that incorrect guidance on spiritual practices. If we do not know how to go ahead with spirituality, we will miss it. And many people think today spiritual life means the more and more prayer, sit and spend time, and using all kinds of devotional practices, reading some books, etc. That's all helpful, but that is not the end. They are means. The end is to become rooted in spirituality, means rooted in God's ways. And therefore, we need to clarify our doubts and remove our negative energies. And the spiritual dimensions helps us to remove all these negativities in us. Sometimes we may be stagnating in spiritual practices because we do not have a guidance. We do not have a spiritual companion. The spiritual path to God is a realization of oneself and the role of that person in the entire nature. We ask very especially today to look at ourselves and see perhaps what this pandemic is telling us. Is it not telling us to go back to the spiritual life, spiritual rootedness? Or do we have this anxiety, worry, fear as the dominating things rather than God's loving grace in us? I think it's time for us to take a pause and look at ourselves and see, am I really spiritual, or am I too much of occupied with ritual practices and religious practices? And a combination of both religion and spirituality is that which we need in the post-corona period. Because corona is a reality which gives us a thoughtful reflection on our role in this common home called the earth. I'm sure our reflections, our discernment will help us to become more of spiritual in the religious practices. Thank you very much, and God bless you.